Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate that. I look forward to seeing many of you on the exhibit floor and in the other sessions this week. So right now we're going to have the IEEE Oceanic Engineering Society Awards for 2021. And unfortunately, our award winners are not able to be with us in person, but they are joining us right now online in the virtual session. And we will get some acknowledgments from the award winners when we get to that point. The first award that IEEE Oceanic Engineering Society is presenting this year is the Distinguished Service Award. And each year, the Distinguished Service Award of the Oceanic Engineering Society honors one OES member for outstanding service in furthering the objectives of society and the activities of the society. So on the behalf of OES, it's an honor to present this year's DSA to Albert Sandy J. Williams III. Sandy was chosen for his long involvement with OES technology committees, as well as the Joint Oceans Advisory Board, guiding the development of these regular oceans conference and exhibitions. Sandy's vision for technology committees included that they should each run a regular symposium or workshop with published papers as a means to bring session streams to oceans. He led CMTC, which was later CWTM and then CWTMA, and as a role model for this concept. The alignment of OES technology committees with ocean tracks at that time was imperfect, and Sandy guided the partnership with MTS to stress unity between the societies and between the contributions from the MTS and OES technology committees in these oceans conferences. Sandy's long service as JOAB co-chair was significant in establishing the working relationship between OES and MTS. In particular, his work on the Oceans Conference operations policy contributed to the documentation of the partnership. Sandy was a great recruiter of volunteers and participants. Sandy's service in the global spread of OES is shown in his leadership in Simpol, a workshop in India, and in the Baltic symposiums. Nearer home, he worked to establish the OES chapter of the Providence section in IEEE, which has become one of the more active chapters within OES. Thank you very much, Sandy. Congratulations, and now we'll hear a few words from him.
I feel honored and grateful for this recognition and somewhat surprised to be invited to join those who have come before and provided such long and devoted service to our society. My connection to IEEE came initially as a place to present and listen to papers on oceanographic instrumentation. My boss at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, Doug Webb, called my attention to the 1974 Oceans Conference in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I and about 6 more of us in the Ocean Engineering's instruments section went there and presented papers. Oceans became one of the 2 or 3 venues that I attended regularly, and by 1994, it became my preferred event. Soon I learned that a workshop on current measurement technology was held about every 4 years, and this plus the current measurement technology track at Oceans became my principal scientific output in my professional community. Mel Briscoe invited me to an informal meeting one afternoon at an Oceans conference in San Diego to plan the next current measurement technology workshop, and he proposed that I take over the responsibility for it. This connected me to the current measurement technology track in planning and recruiting papers for Oceans conferences as well. I made a practice of attending the OES AdCom meetings held the day before Oceans conferences as a means of keeping the CMT and CMTW activities on the table. At the AdCom meeting in Kobe in 2004, I was asked by Stan Chamberlain to be his technology organizer, an appointed rather than elected position, but I included the other technology committees in my recruitment effort and encouraged each technology committee to have workshops like CMTW. And several did, but not all. When Chamberlain became term limited as VP Technology, I was elected as his replacement, and my membership in the OES Executive Committee commenced. René Garello appointed me as his replacement to head JOAB, the Joint Oceans Administrative Board, when he was elected OES president. As an appointed position, there was no term limit to this position, and I participated with Jerry Boatman, my MTS co-chair, in revising the document that spells out how oceans conferences are to be run. Jerry Boatman and I had been unable to complete this manual at oceans conferences where we were each too busy with OES and MTS meetings. So we decided to pick an airport only one flight away from each of our homes and work on it for a day or two, as it was still needed, and in a meeting room at the airport hotel. We chose Chicago, a city that I have only visited at the airport while changing planes. The work got done, but we ate dinner in the airport hotel, and there were 2 restaurants, and we tried each of them once. Those of you familiar with them may know more about them, but we were surprised when the waitspersons were more like Playboy Club hostesses. But the food was good. Returning from Oceans 2016 Shanghai, my wife and I spent a night at the Chicago airport, and I took pleasure in showing her where Jerry and I had dined. She enjoyed it as much as I had. My wife Izzy and I have enjoyed attending Oceans conferences and have particularly appreciated the various venues Oceans has selected. Over the years, since 2004, we have connected with the active community of OES members and spouses and loved meeting them again every few months or even every few years. It gives me pleasure to see new members, particularly to see them step into service roles in the society. As one of the few societies focused on the broad concerns of engineering and policy of the ocean, I hope that OES retains and encourages its members to participate in its conferences and workshops and local chapters.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Our next award is the Distinguished Technical Achievement Award, and the 2021 awardee is Dr. René Garello. Each year, the Distinguished Technical Achievement Award of OES honors one individual for an outstanding fundamental or applied technical contribution to oceanic engineering. The award recognizes a single major invention or scientific contribution, or a distinguished series of contributions over a long period of time. On behalf of the Society, it is an honor to present this year's Distinguished Technical Achievement Award to René Garello for signal processing of remotely sensed measurements of the ocean and connecting to physical oceanography solutions. René is recognized for his contributions to signal and image processing of remotely sensed measurements of the ocean. He took a leading role in analysis of speckle in SIR images to extract information on sea state when others were treating it as noise. He has shown the value of multidisciplinary approaches that combine signal and image processing techniques with geoscience knowledge using synergy between different sensors. Recently, René has turned to the problem of marine debris and plastics in the ocean and is applying satellite observations to several programs. Professor René has recently retired from a full professorship at IMT Atlantique, Brest, and has been appointed Emeritus Professor. He became a Fellow of IEEE in 2005 and has taken on many tasks within IEEE, including the President of OES 2011 to 2014. He organized workshops on ocean remote sensing and was elevated to Life Fellow of IEEE in 2019. He participated in the creation of the satellite reception station Vigisat in 2009, which allowed the formation of the scientific interest group Bretel, of which he is the founding director. René, would you like to have a few words in acknowledgement? Here's the plaque that we'll be sending to the recipients. I skipped over this plaque for Sandy, but he'll also get a similar one. René.
Good day, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here today, even though only virtually. First of all, I'd like to thank my nominator, Maurizio Migliaccio, and the awards committee for selecting me for this Distinguished Technical Achievement Award. I'm really honored. I'll try not to be too long for this speech. As many of you know, I had the news of this award the same day I started my retirement. Quite a coincidence. Of course, I say active, being now an emeritus professor in my institute. Winston Churchill, trying to speak French, said one day in French, "Quand je regarde mon derrière, je le vois partagé en deux. When I look at my back, I see it divided in two." Well, when I look at my past, I see indeed two paths. One on my research career, devoted since the end of the 70s to the study of the ocean surface, seen from above, and the other one on my involvement with IEEE and very rapidly with the OES. Christopher reminded you about some of my activities with the OES, and I'll spend a very few minutes talking about my research main fields. I started doing my master's degree working on radio oceanography using HF surface radars and mainly doing all the signal processing for converting the observations into information about the sea surface waves and the underlying current speed and direction. Of course, no observation satellite at this time. After a few years spent at NOAA in another field, I came back to the study of the ocean surface with satellite radar trying to from above to see the invisible. Indeed, the radar sees only a roughness and all rest is the impact of natural features, wind, waves, currents, or man-made ones, ships, pollutions. And from signal processing, I moved to image processing. The images being a 2D field rather than a real image. Anyway, I realized that without models and in situ data, the information was incomplete. And I started working with groups looking at the surface from below, but as well looking also from above with our sensors. That was the next step in my research developments: sensor synergy, integration, and of course, this involved much more data, hence the inevitable big data approaches with machine learning methods. In closing, I recall that at an oceans conference many years ago, I was participating to a panel on the theme, "The Oceans in 2030, or something like that. My point was that every information would be accessible in digital format via distributed networks with search capabilities guided by tailored softwares. Well, today we have digital twins of the ocean starting, and of course, artificial intelligence to help. I was not that far. Once again, thank you to the OES committee for this award and to all my PhD students and colleagues who made it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, René. Perhaps we'll take a moment to congratulate these award recipients. And now, before we conclude the OES award ceremony, we'd also like to recognize our fellows who were elevated in 2021 and 2020. First, I'll take a moment to talk a little bit about the IEEE Fellow Program. As you know, IEEE is a larger organization that OES belongs to, and IEEE Fellow is a distinction reserved for IEEE members whose extraordinary accomplishments in the IEEE fields of interest are deemed fitting of this prestigious grade elevation. The total number selected in any 1 year cannot exceed 0.1% of the total membership. IEEE Fellow is the highest grade of membership and is recognized by the technical community as a prestigious honor and important career achievement. So our 2021 Fellow is Dr. Dana Yerger for development of autonomous underwater vehicles for deep ocean exploration and science. Now, as I said, we're also going to recognize our fellows elevated in 2020. And in 2020, our fellow elevation was Dr. John Watson for contributions to the development of submersible holography and in situ imaging of marine organisms. Now, I'm not sure if Dr. Yerger or Dr. Watson were able to join us online today, but they did communicate with me ahead of this ceremony, and I'm sure that they would like to express thanks for their friends and colleagues in the society for their support and through the years. And Dr. Watson also would like to mention his colleagues in his institution as well as his family and personal friends for support throughout his career. So that is the end of the OES award ceremony. Bob.